So we decided to do a little surprise episode on this new moon in Capricorn because both of us looked at the chart and we were so excited in some ways, and we both saw how potent this new moon is. For me, it's almost, it is a potent new moon, but it's almost like an opportunity that could be lost, I think, because it's potent, but in some ways it's subtle, like in some ways. So we did want to just draw attention to this, and we're going to do a very quick episode for us anyway, a quick episode for us about this new moon in Capricorn, which is happening on the 18th or the 19th of January, depending where you are in the world. So the new moon is at 28 degrees Capricorn, and it's action-packed in Capricorn. There's a stellium there. There's Mercury and Mars are in Capricorn as well. We've got the new moon trine Uranus in Taurus at 27 degrees and sextiling. So it's doing this mini grand trine to Saturn and Neptune and Pisces at 27, Saturn's at 27 degrees and Neptune's at 29 degrees. So it's a really, with these more supportive sextiles and trines, these can sometimes be missed because there's not like an active square. Well, there is an active square. We'll talk about that in a minute. But those opportunities can sometimes be missed if we're not aware of them. So even though the new moon is usually a time for new beginnings, I think this one here, and Fery will talk about this more from an Horary point of view as well, but this one here is a little bit different because everything's at the last degrees, okay? I'm talking just about the new moon itself is at 28 degrees, and when things are at the last degree, it's like a wrapping up, and we talked about this in our long episode about 2026. The link's in below if you want to listen to that. It's a deep dive into the energies of 2026. But this first few months is a wrapping up. And this new moon, I think, is such a good opportunity to wrap up so we can start fresh. I kind of looked at it and like, because I get very practical, I'm like, it's kind of like when I'm moving house and I need to clean out all my shit before I can move into a new house, right? I need to go through all the stuff and be like, do I want to keep this? Do I want to keep that? No, I don't. So yeah, I think there is this real, with Uranus there's a breakthrough energy available. Like we can break through the old patterns and structures that have been keeping us. And I've definitely been feeling this since the full moon in Cancer. Around that time, I had a lot of old emotions and memories come up for me that I was like, oh, they're still there. And it's like these last threads of like acknowledging and letting go of what is actually important to bring forward and what have we learned. It's been a weird 5 years. I think everyone can agree on that. So what have we learned? And the other reason I think I look at this chart and think of it as a wrapping up is that most planets, so obviously the new moon, the sun and the moon, Mercury, Mars, and also Saturn and Neptune and Pisces and Uranus and Taurus, they're all in the old signs. And what I mean by the old signs is that they're in the signs like the water and earth signs. And again, we talk about this in our 2026 forecast, that new is the fire and air. So it's like they're all in these old water and earth signs, which has been like I think a 200-year cycle, but we don't even have to go back that far. So we're really wrapping up. So this is why I got excited. The one other thing I want to talk about is Chiron. So Chiron is kind of the only real active planet that I saw in this, which is forming it's a square, like it's a wide square, but it is a square to the new moon. Chiron is also in its old sign. It's going to move into Taurus this year. But again, I think this is also, so even though I'm saying it's a subtle new moon, it's also actually it can be quite an ouchy new moon, I think, as well, because it's going to bring up some wounds. And I think if we listen to those wounds, there's some real gems there. Like Chiron in a square here is really going to ask us to look at our old wounds of how we've maybe felt left out, or, what are some other things that Chiron brings up, Fery? I'll pass over to you.
Like the wounded masculine as well, because I feel that's interaction with the Lilith. We're looking at that.
Yeah, true. Yes. Yeah, the wounded masculine and the wounded feminine. And Fery's going to talk about Lilith a little bit more as well. So, but also those energies within us, you know, we're definitely seeing in the world, we're seeing these energies, the wounded masculine and the wounded feminine. And I think this is I'd love to do a whole podcast on this, but, you know, playing out. But yes, those energies within us, like our wounded masculine, our wounded feminine, you know, and how do we want to move forward with a more healthy masculine within us and a healthy feminine, and being connected to both those energies. So
yeah. All
That's
right, great.
For me.
Yeah, and yes, like we had a fight before with which chart to use.
Well, we had a fight. We had a like, I wouldn't even say it's a disagreement. We were just like, because my Lilith is already in Sagittarius, which I think is quite funny, because I'm like, I'm done. And then Fery was like, no, Black Moon Lilith is in Scorpio, like 29 degrees Scorpio. And I spent honestly 2 hours last night trying to figure out, because there's 4 different Liliths, right? None of the Liliths that I looked at were at 28 degrees. So I don't know where Fery's Lilith or my Lilith have come from, but we're using legitimate software and they're both in different spots. So anyway, Fery's going to talk about her Lilith at 29 degrees.
Yeah. Because I think I was using a software like more in Horary. And also when I'm looking at the chart, I think basically I was actually genuinely asking question, what is this new moon bring to me? So it become a Horary question, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then when I cast Horary astrology, like when I asking a question, and then the astrology understood, and based on your location, your time of understanding, and then the chart come alive. So sometimes like why I feel this chart is really potent, because I feel like it speaks to me, and it's kind of like telling a story. So Horary astrology basically is planetary movement, telling your story, what's really happening, right? So normally, of course, we were using Horary astrology to asking, like, for example, personal questions, right? But sometimes I feel like this is energy, because I do feel like this is relevant for us as well. So it's with really good intention into it too. So that's why when I'm looking at charts, oh shit. And the first thing I thought was Lilith in 29th degrees. I was like, oh shit, it's in Scorpio. And also like, yes, we have all the, you know, like Sandra was talking about the, you know, the new moon sextile Saturn, and Saturn, Neptune, and sextile Uranus. There's like a little grand trine over there. But also Lilith is kind of like in the it's like an outcast, like a little bit of sextile new moon as well, right? So I do feel like you said, like we're already starting to wrapping up. So the reason why like Lilith got my focus, and if you don't know Lilith is like in the mythology, so it's the first woman was created, right? So it's not Eve, right? If you know the Adam and Eve story, Lilith is the first wife of Adam. She was created by like equality. It's like, okay, you are equal with Adam, but because Adam asked her to be submissive and to become like his wife, right? And then she refused, and then she representing a really like sort of, how can I say, rebellious feminine energy. And also because she was punished, I cannot remember the detailed story after that, but I do remember she was like really punished and not being, because she's not like agreeable or like, you know, not this submissive. And there's a lot of like darker submissive, like, you know, not submissive, like suppressed, like dark feminine energy. And then later on, the patriarchy society kind of like demonized her and saying, because she's, you know, like all the mystery, like told about her is like, oh, she's dark feminine. But is she really dark feminine? I don't think so. It was because that, like our rage and as women, right? The power being taken away, the voice being shut down, and then that anger, and then, you know, like it become dark, right? It's not like dark at the original, it's with the good intention. But when Lilith Scorpio in the end of the degree, I'm feeling like there's like a little bit of revengeful energy going on over there.
Yeah, I mean, Lilith in the 29th degree is ragey. Like, Scorpio. Yeah, she is ragey. And I mean, I've had so many themes of the patriarchy in my own, coming up in the last week. So this is really interesting. Keep going. I'm loving this.
Yeah. That's why I feel like that's really caught my attention. And also I feel because this energy is still attached to the new moon a little bit, right? So planting a seed. Yes, we're in an ending, but also this planting a seed, say, hey, this need to be addressed. Lily is kind of like in the side. I'm not in the like major party here just yet, but I'm reminding you, yes, this need to be addressed. It's basically all the like women, like the trauma we're going through as a group, right? Like this pain, the generational trauma has to be faced, has to be addressed. You cannot just put it under the rug and it's all good. No. And that's why there's all the things the surface. I feel like it's Lilith rising from the underworld saying, hey, this is not okay. I'm gonna be speaking up. I'm gonna be standing up for what is not wrong, what is not right. So I feel like that's kind of the energy to kind of like reminding the new moon party in Capricorn. And also was talking about as well the Capricorn. What is Capricorn? Capricorn is like structures, right? It's all the institution, how we want to live life. Like we kind of like putting unboxing ourselves in a lot of way. And Lilith is just like saying, hey, there's something not right. You have to, like, yes, we're still in kind of like worship. We're still living in that pattern, in that like, scenario. But now is ending of the karmic release, right? And like I said, like Saturn is also the lord of karma as well. And it's ruling the new moon and it's in Pisces right now. And also like we're talking about 29 degrees of like moon and sun and moon. And also the Uranus is 27 degrees, pretty much 28 degrees. But the 28 degrees is in between Saturn and like Neptune, right? So in Horary, we're talking about like Saturn hasn't touched that point just yet. So that's what I'm saying. Like I feel later on Saturn will move into 28 degrees, which will activating. Like for me, I feel like this little trine is kind of like pointing to Saturn, give Saturn a spotlight, saying, hey, Saturn in Pisces is kind of like a priest, like the authority figure in a hierarchy of spiritual realm, or like being worshipped, being like okay, they are the highest to kind of say to follow or whatever it is. And I feel like this kind of like the Mars and also the Uranus and all the new moon party in Capricorn kind of like bring the pressure cooking into that point, saying, hey, now the leadership has to change. And I feel like it's a collapsing of the guru, collapsing of the spiritual worship, like, all that kind of stuff. And also leadership as well. So maybe before everybody's, we're just loving and kind and just, like just being peaceful. There's nothing wrong with it. But now because there's so much dark energy going on. There's so much unresolved trauma or generational, like, the feminine rage and wounded masculine in the play as well. I didn't look at a Chiron actually today, but I feel like it's a really good point to say, hey, actually the wounded masculine is also in the play too.
Yeah, Chiron and Aries. I mean, Aries is a very masculine sign,
Yeah,
and I love it, Lilith. Yeah.
Like they're all in the play, and then so that's what I'm saying. Like leadership asking to change because like now you have to protect your people, because when Saturn going to Aries, saying like, no, you cannot just like spiritualizing everything. You have to really protecting your people, standing up for each other, rather than just doing like all the spiritual stuff, but nothing actually really happening.
Yeah, there's no longer this like I think we don't quite understand yet how we've been in this more passive time, and how much active. And I just even had a conversation last night, like we can no longer be passive. We can't in any area of our life. Like it can be on a spiritual level, on a political level, on a personal level. We are moving into activeness.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of like, for me, like that's why like when Saturn going through 28 degrees and passing that energy, the Mars energy, basically it's channel the Mars energy, right? Like let's just charge, let's protect, let's just activate the activist basically. And then like passing through in Neptune, when we have the Saturn Neptune conjunction in February, and that's when things really starting to active, and you can see the leadership will change, because we're being so passive, like worship the authority for so long, but now it's asking for change and for real leadership and taking care of us and protecting us, rather than just really just like purely brainwash us in a lot of way. You know what I mean? So that's what I feel like is the mass awakening in that way, right? And also Uranus in Taurus, this is also interesting aspect I want to say, because they are the major party, the new moon, the Uranus and the Saturn Neptune. So that's the three party, that's the major party, right? So Uranus for me is also like now still in Taurus. I feel like it's kind of like we are, because Taurus like the comfort zone, right? So we are so comfortable for what we had already. But Uranus is kind of like, no, things is going to change, even though he's working with Taurus for the last 7 to 8 years in so many different way, pandemic and all the, the shocking things happening in the world. But now I also feel like the Uranus for me, like, I'm not sure what do you think about it. I'm just talking shit right now. because I do feel like it's kind of like a assistant from like another planet, like Aquarian, Pleiadians, and all that kind of energy channeling, really helping assisting Earth to have new way of being and connecting in a lot of way. And for me, I just feel, okay, this is like higher consciousness really trying to say, hey, it's time to change. And we have a lot, because it's just trine, right? So that's why I feel like it's really helping you, helping us, like the authority, the leadership, changing from stepping out from Pisces and to Aries, right? So there's like a lot of like assistance coming through as well. Yes, it's sudden. It's like you might don't know coming from anywhere. So like when I look at like Uranus, okay, they're helping us. They're trying to really helping us to really changing this like the evolutionary humanity. Yeah. So that's just what I'm thinking about that. Yeah. So I think that's me. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, yeah, Uranus is a higher consciousness. Like if you think of Mercury as the lower mind, sometimes I think of Uranus as the higher kind of, you know, that kind of electric, intuitive, like we just get these like, you know, electric like thoughts that are just like boom, they land. So yeah, that's fascinating and great to hear from an aura astrology point of view as well. You also spoke about, just really quickly before we wrap up, how Venus and Pluto are already in Aquarius. You know, those are the two planets that are really in the new sign already. And it's like Pluto is this gateway, like all the other planets are getting, what was the word you used? Purified.
Like, yeah, because he's a gatekeeper. So like, if you want to pass out, and then you have to
passing through the eye of the needle, really, isn't it? It is. It's a fascinating new moon. And I guess to wrap up, to make the most of it on a personal level, like we said, this is going to affect us collectively, but personally, we are all part of this. I think, you know, look at your life. It might be as simple as cleaning out your garage, you know, and as you go, you'll come through like little memorabilia that brings up things and sit with those and throw them out. Or it might be that you actually do like, you might delve into, you know, a deeper, like a shamanic healing, which is what I'm doing this weekend. Doesn't matter. It doesn't mean one's better than the other, but there's definitely this clearing out, you know, this kind of reflection and clearing out so that we have got this clean slate to start the new year, which is beginning in February.
Yeah. So it will be exciting, interesting to see what's going on. I will have episode for recording my experiences with Pluto transit.
Yeah. And we'll jump back on in February as we come closer to that Saturn-Neptune conjunction. So thank you everyone for joining us this morning. I think that's everything, isn't it?